Hey there, King of the Fatties here, welcoming you to another Rollin' Rambles, and today what we're going to talk about very briefly, because I don't want this to go on for too long, is what are you doing this for? Why? Why are you motivated the way you are? Who are you trying to impress? A lot of questions arise, especially if you happen to be younger today being 2024, just for the record, about why are we doing any of this? What is the point? There really is sort of a black-pilled nature to it all. And I find that a lot of people, they just sort of chase these ideals that don't exist, possibly because they live in despair. And this is really just a call to action. Look into yourself. Stop looking at other people and look into yourself. Examine your motivations. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you want what you want? Why is it that your life is not going as well as it could? Or why is it you don't have what you want? Why is it that you think you're going after what you want, but you don't ever seem to get it? I find that, for example, and this is just one example of very, very many, a lot of women today want a man that makes a lot of money. Just pretty good example of what I'm talking about. But why do they want a man that makes a lot of money? Now, it's not that women haven't always wanted a man that has resources and power and such so that she could make sure that her offspring are taken care of and end up as well off as possible as they grow up and become adults themselves. Obviously, you want to put your offspring in the best position possible. But women who probably aren't even going to have any kids at this point, let's just be honest, still expect a man to be this amazing combination of every ideal factor. A lot of, especially the bachelor or red pill men on YouTube, talk about the sixes, as in six figures, making over 100 grand a year, 6 inches or more, referring to willy size, of course, 6 feet. So your height, if you're not tall enough, then you're a manlet who's not worthy of any woman, because women, quite a few of them seem to think that way. And there was another one, 6-pack. So you have to be tall, fit, have a huge wang, and have a huge wallet. This is an ideal that almost no man actually has. In fact, if you were able to find men that are a combination of rich, hung, very fit, and very tall, it would probably be 100 men in the whole world. That's it. That's the pool. Millions of women expecting all men that aren't invisible to them to be this group of 100 men. And while a lot of these bachelor red pill channels like to discuss this and sort of black pill themselves and others, saying, oh, why would you want to deal with women if they're like this? I would say that the bigger problem is the women. The problem is not the men. There are plenty of men that don't meet reasonable standards, but there are plenty of men who do. And the problem is the women's expectations are insane because the internet has led them to believe they have choice when they do not. And that's why this video is a call to action to examine your motivations and why you want what you do. Because if you really think deeper about some of these things, some of these idealized goals or motives for any given thing, you find that the problem lies in these people wanting something not that they have organically decided was what is best for them, but rather that they have been led to believe by other people is what they should go for, what they need. And let's be honest, if we were to, let's say we had something to sell, in one case perhaps it's a computer or a couch, in the other case it's our bodies, time, and lives as people in a relationship. But we have something to sell. We want to maximize what we get for it, but Perhaps it is not in the best condition. It's not pristine, new, amazing. It's not something that people are going to be willing to pay retail, brand new, full price for, because, we're not perfect. Nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. No item you sell is perfect, and that includes you yourself. So we have to kind of mark it down a bit to a reasonable price. So if you don't put it out there at a reasonable price for what you're giving, then you're not going to get anything. But all too often, we find that people are motivated by these notions that they somehow deserve ideals despite not being ideal at all. A lot of people that are basically toxic expect that they should be given the world and then some, even though they don't deserve it in even the slightest way. So if you're one of these people that does not get what you want out of life, and you look honestly at what you have to offer to other people and what you actually need, maybe you'll find that you really do not have a good idea of what would work to make your life better, because your life is not my life or his or hers or whoever else's life. Whatever's going on in your life, whatever you need, is not going to be the same as what I need. Now, I am autistic. I need someone who can, at a minimum, tolerate some of my idiosyncratic, repetitive, annoying behaviors and help manage them. That means that maybe, just maybe, I don't get to date the picky Victoria's Secret model who has the universally idealized body image, and because a woman that's high maintenance is going to promptly get kicked to the curb by me. I don't care how hot they are, they're gone. So maybe that's not going to work for me. And you know what? If you're a woman who has some issues, maybe you need someone who can help you with your issues a lot more than you need a stud with a six-pack that looks really good that you can show off to your girlfriends. Maybe you need to weigh the options instead of just going, I want a unicorn. If I don't get a unicorn, I'm totally fine with drinking wine and eating cat litter because that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life. In the end, the real value of something is zero until someone else assigns a value to it. And if the value is lower than your minimum that you're willing to give it up for, then you're going to end up with zero. A lot of people need to examine their motivations and understand that what is best for you in your life, in your situation, in your particulars, is not the ideal that you see spread throughout social media, or the ideal that other people may have planted the seeds of forming in your head. The ideal person is fake. They do not exist. There is no ideal partner for you. And let's assume there is. Let's say if you took everyone on earth, and out of all those people, there's one person that is your absolute best choice, the most likely by far that you would ever get along with. You literally have an ideal out of all the people on earth. There's like 8 billion people on earth. That's not 8,000 or 8 million, but 8 billion. That's 8,000. You see where this is going? This is a humongous number. It would not be physically possible for you to interview every potential partner on the planet for 30 seconds if you spent every day of the rest of your life doing it. The chances of you meeting a supposed ideal person for you are zero. I mean, they're so infinitesimal as to be zero. Even if you did meet them, as each of you changed over time, you would deviate and no longer be the ideal person for each other. So the ideal person for you is not somebody who gives you what you need now or what you want now, but somebody who continues to give you what you need as you change over time. And this is what a lot of people seem to miss. You need to work towards the things that will get you what you want over time. Like, you might want the world now, but you're not going to get it. And no matter how much you say that you deserve it, and no matter how much you try to shame all of society into changing to bend, warp, and twist itself into pretzels trying to give you what you want, at the end of the day, it's not going to happen, and you're just going to end up miserable. You need to look at why you want what you want and decide what it is that you don't actually need. For example, I don't care that much about what a woman looks like. It just isn't that big of a deal to me. It hasn't been that big of a deal to me for a long, long time. Maybe when I was in high school, it was a big deal to me. Maybe appearance mattered to me in high school. I very quickly learned that was stupid once I got out of high school, and I actually was able to date real women. I realized that women who look really good can be really bad. And appearance suddenly just took a massive drop off for me. I didn't care because looking good doesn't actually make you good. It doesn't make you someone I would want to deal with even in the slightest. So I just don't really care all that much. Now, granted, if you happen to wear a stupid hairstyle, I'm probably going to be critical of it. But at the same time, I'm probably not going to care that much as far as pairing up with you. And that's just one example out of many. But each person has different things that they can compromise on to get a better balance in another aspect. The truth is, you're never going to find a unicorn, and if you do, they'll change over time. Even just under your influence as a not perfect person for that other person, they will change over time to not be what you want. You need to understand that what you want is not necessarily what you need. Most people don't actually know what they want or need. They only know that, oh, I've got these things that other people have told me are good. People look at this woman and they see someone who's just, and they change their behavior for them, and they treat them like they're goddesses or queens or whatever because they're so pretty. People look at that and go, oh, well, pretty must be really important. That must be something that I should aspire towards, or that I should try to get in a partner. Somebody who looks really attractive is someone I need in a partner. But these are not real needs. These are false needs. This kind of stuff is junk food for your life. You don't need a hot partner. You don't need a lot of things. In fact, if you start stripping things back, you can really realize that you don't actually need that much to be happy in life. Part of the problem is fear of missing out. Good old FOMO. A lot of people, it's not about like, oh, well, I have all this great stuff. But is this really the best I can get? And I know that, all the blue pill or red pill people, they love to rip on that. Like, this woman had a guy she literally described as perfect. This actually happened, by the way. But she broke up with him because he was too perfect and didn't give her the feelsies and the spikes of emotion enough. And first of all, would you really want to be with a woman who was that psycho that you had to keep being dramatic towards her? You had to keep making her miserable to make her happy? That sounds pretty awful to me. But that's the thing, is like, perfect wasn't perfect enough for her. She actually wants someone that's imperfect in a different way. So in the end, it boils down to dishonesty with herself and what she really needs or wants. Anyway, I just think that it would be really helpful if people would step back and they would understand what it is that actually works for them, and that just because you see that other things in the world that might be nicer than what you have exist, you can be perfectly happy without them. All you have to do is decide that you don't care. You don't want them. You don't have to have that stuff to be happy. You don't have to date a supermodel. You don't have to date a buff gym Chad with 6,000, that makes six figures every month. You just don't have to do that. It's not necessarily going to make you happy. If you do date a guy that makes that kind of money, is he really going to give that money to you? Come on, let's be honest. And you probably would like someone who makes less money but is more generous with it, or is more willing to spend it on you, or is just generally treats you better even if they don't make all that money. This entire sort of bouncy, rambly video was inspired by some stuff that I watched where these women, they're just, I don't understand it, but they go after these men and they gladly will tell you, oh, a guy's got to make at least this amount of money. And I thought about it and I was like, oh, wait a minute. In most areas of the country, even with inflation, if a guy's making like 60 grand a year, you can live really comfortably. So why do you insist that he has to make 600 grand a year instead of 60 grand a year? What is that money really getting you? Now, to be completely clear, it is very, extremely true and scientifically backed that if you don't have enough money to the point that you're suffering because you don't have enough money to go around to pay for the things you need to be happy, you're miserable. But once you hit a certain point, extra money at best gives you minimal extra happiness. Sometimes actually makes things worse because of what you have to do to get the money. Or because of the way that people treat you because you have the money. Either way, it's not a better deal for you. The bottom line is, I think everybody could benefit if they were just to step back a little bit and really reassess what they actually need in their lives versus what they've been led to think they want by other people. Because just because other people think something is good doesn't mean it's good for you. And sometimes it can actually be really bad for you. But being able to show it off to your friends, well, what does that actually amount to? Nothing. Because your friends don't matter. When you're trying to have something in your life, your friends don't matter. It's all about you. You need to be selfish. You need to work in your own self-interest. You need to not care what your friends say. Maybe your friends say that you don't need something because they're jealous. They don't want you to have it because they don't have it and they can't have it. Now, it's entirely possible that your friends don't want to feel like they're left out. Oh, you got a nice car that you've been wanting for 10 years and you finally worked really hard and made enough money that you can afford to get the nice car you've always wanted. You know what? That's not necessarily a good choice overall. But the thing is, it's what you wanted and you worked towards it and you achieved it. So who cares if your friends say, oh, well, that car's stupid, or, oh, well, having a car like that makes you a prick or whatever. It doesn't matter what they think because it was your goal. It's something you wanted and you worked towards. At the same time, make sure you're actually working towards something that matters, because if you want to get the nice car, but you don't want to get the nice car because you personally, genuinely want it because it's something that will make you happy independent of everything else, but rather because you're trying to show other people you have money or status or power, you're trying to impress women. If you're getting the nice car for all those reasons, then you're not getting it for the right reasons. And you know what? If you're a drug dealer, whatever, all bets are off. If you need to show people you drive a stupid Mercedes, it takes too much money to maintain, that's fine, whatever. But in the end, unless it's a business purpose like that, seriously, some lawyers drive Mercedes to show they're not cheap garbage lawyers. Unless it's a business purpose, why are you going to buy that? Unless it's something that you just want because it's something you're passionate about. What are you passionate about? Why do you care? And if you think about it, you might find that you don't care about as much as you thought you did. You might find that things that you thought would make you happy, maybe you can get ahead of that and not take on those things that actually won't make you happier, that actually won't improve your life. And you can do something else with all that time and resources, money, whatever, instead. Maybe you don't need to have a wife or girlfriend or whatever. Maybe you don't need the car. Maybe you don't need to buy a house. Maybe you'd be happier if you could just build up a bunch of savings, buy an RV, and go tour the country for a couple years. I don't know, but it's different for everybody. No, and who is anyone else to tell you that what you actually genuinely, passionately want in life is something you can't work towards? At the same time, who is anyone else to tell you that you should genuinely, passionately work towards what they say you should, and that you should live your life by their parameters? How much of what you want is just some other prick telling you what you want And doing so by saying, hey, if you get that car, if you get that RV, if you sell your house, I think that's stupid. And they really don't tell you, I think that's stupid because it wouldn't work for me, or because I would love to do that, but I'm not willing to put in the work to be able to do that. There's a whole lot of lying to ourselves that we do throughout our lives. And I've spent no shortage of time. I've probably wasted a very large amount of my youth not really being honest with myself and not biting the bullet and doing some pretty hard things. Few examples of hard things that I've done in my life that I'm not proud of, but that I did have to do. I told my mom when I was young, but I was over 18, had my first vehicle for quite a while. I told my mom, you can't just keep asking me where I'm going every time I go somewhere. I'm an adult. I pay for my car. I pay for my expenses. I should be able to do what I want. She's very upset, but she understood, and ultimately we were both better off for it. I got rid of my ex-wife, who I should never have married in the first place, because I married her to shut her up. That's a big mistake. Don't do anything like that to get the other person to leave you alone. That was dumb, and I'll never do something like that again. Never been with anybody like that again. But that should have been cut off at the past. But even then, I still should have gotten the whole relationship thrown into the trash can as soon as humanly possible, because it was bad. It was bad for everybody involved. It was bad for everybody that it touched. And so I disposed of it. It was unpleasant. She threw things around the house, but I did it because it had to be done. And it sucked having to stand there and watch this crazy woman screech cry for like a day straight, smash every photo frame in the house, just the most ridiculous response you can imagine. Yet it's just what had to be done. And I did it. I grit my teeth. And then, not long after that, I started dating people that weren't nearly as terrible. Almost everyone that I dated, minus I think 2 or 3, after that would have been a better choice to get married to than that crazy lady. And there you go. I took care of that. It was not what I should have done. I lied to myself. I told myself a bunch of bullshit, because the easiest path was to just let her keep being her, being a crappy person, and dragging me along for the ride. The hard path was cutting it off and having her go cuckoo clock over me cutting it off, and me worrying, will anybody ever care about me again? But I did it because that's what you have to do. A guy didn't fulfill his end of the bargain when it came to the lease. I leased a place for a year or two in a plaza, and the plaza owner, who I signed the lease with, had said that he would put up a plaza-style sign so that my business could have its sign up on the plaza alongside his. There were 2 empty slots. I was taking one of them, and I was going to put my sign up. So I had a banner out at the road temporarily. Well, the town only lets you have a banner for 30 days. Guy never put up plaza-style signage, and that was it. I just never heard anything. Town comes around, says you got to take down your sign. I'm sorry, but rules are rules. Took down our banner. 100% drop off. Nobody could find us because the plaza was like 800 feet off the road. So nobody could find us anymore. Customers who tried to, there was no sign to lead them in because the town made us take it down and there was no permanent sign to put up. So because this guy wouldn't take care of business the way that we had agreed, I bailed. And I left him, he's like, oh, I could sue you to get the rest of the lease. And I said, yeah, and that'd be great, except, I left because I don't have any money, because I can't pay you because you didn't put up a sign. We had to take our sign down, and because you didn't do what you said you would do when I signed that lease, I have no money to pay you. So you're free to sue, and whenever you do, I'm going to ask why you didn't put up the signage that you said you were going to put up, and we'll just see how it goes. Do what you have to do. But you can't get blood from a turnip, and never heard from him again. That's just a set of examples. Anyway, you need to bite the bullet and do the hard work, because if you don't, then you're not going to get what you want in life. And the problem is you need to know what you want. You need to move forward towards that aggressively and unapologetically. And that's the end of it. Anyway, there's a bunch of construction here. I gotta go. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Take care. A guy did not fulfill his end of the bargain. Hold on. A guy didn't fulfill his end of the bargain when it came to the lease.